Free speech. The foundation of the exchange of free ideas relies on the ability to say things when they are not popular. Free speech, and our right to express ourselves, is supposed to be guaranteed by the First Amendment, but has slowly been fading away. I could likely spend a lot of time proving this, but I believe most of you are well aware of what I'm talking about, as social media has begun to purge thought criminals deemed by random anonymous users as too hot to handle. This censorship comes in many forms. One is outright deplatforming, where a person or an organization is banned from participation based on their thoughts, beliefs, or associations. This happened to Faith Goldie a few weeks ago, but I'll get to that in a few. Another is throttling, where certain administrators of platforms like YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter directly interfere with the traffic for certain users that hold ideas they do not like. There are other ways that free expression is stifled by these organizations, if not censored entirely, but these are the first ones that came to mind. This increase of censorship, especially over the past year, has provoked a demand from people who want to discuss these issues that are so harmful to some that they need to be silenced. This demand has brought about many free speech advocates and personalities who seldomly speak things that are truly controversial. They don't want to be considered too hot to handle. The very people who pontificate about free speech seem to be the first people who are afraid to hold ideas that others are uncomfortable with. This story really begins about a month ago when Dr. Jordan Peterson held a panel alongside others on the topic of free speech on college campuses. Faith Goldie was set to appear with them on the panel, but Dr. Clean Your Room and his associates unironically deplatformed Faith on the grounds that she was too hot to handle.
The first thing I should say is it's not like we're unaware of the irony. I listened very carefully to her podcast, the one that got her in trouble. And my sense was that she was associating with people whose views she should have questioned. It was her journalistic responsibility to question them. She had to ask at least one hard question. At least one. 3 would have been better. You know, and I understand that she had to toe a careful line. She was on the podcast. They had invited her on. It's much more difficult than you might think when you're facing people, even if you don't believe them, to be rude enough to challenge them, right? That's not so easy, especially if you're an agreeable person, and she is a rather agreeable person. But I believe that she failed in her journalistic responsibility. And as a consequence of that, she became too hot a property for us, and not just for us. And, well, that was the reason for the decision.
If you're going to make free speech one of your principles, you have to stand up for free speech in times when it is difficult. The word Peterson was looking for wasn't irony, but rather hypocrisy. I like Jordan Peterson, for the record. He has many theology videos that I find interesting. This instance, however, opened my eyes on how the concept of free speech is milked by personalities throughout social media as a way to inflate their brand. This may or may not be an intentional thing that they do, but a lot of people tag on the words free speech and don't entirely support free speech. A few weeks later, a free speech event called Kilroy was announced, being promoted by many different popular YouTube personalities. Their goal was $85,000. They needed $8,000 for the convention center deposit, $39,000 for the convention center itself, and $38,000 for security and administration fees. Many internet personalities were announced as speakers, including Faith Goldie, Lauren Southern, James Alsop, and Baked Alaska. Considering how Antifa organizes violence wherever these people go to speak, it made sense to me why they would need to e-beg to audiences of the speakers listed in order to get this event off the ground. People were excited to meet some of their favorite internet personalities, and it seemed like a good idea to have people with different ideas physically debating one another, which is something you would never see at VidCon. If the event cared so much about free speech and censorship, then why couldn't they invite somebody like Brett Weinstein to speak? Somebody who was chased out of his college, the place that he worked at, by a literal angry mob of people. Why couldn't they invite somebody like James Damore, who was forced out of his job because of a Google memo he wrote that featured very basic facts about the differences between men and women. Everything seemed to be fine, and nobody suspected that things might turn upside down at any moment. This is right around the time that Tim Pool announced that he would not be going to Kilroy anymore, noting an issue with a non-disclosure agreement and a non-compete clause, which seemed entirely unnecessary. This brought about animosity from people who were speaking at Kilroy, who oddly enough were outraged that Tim Pool did not want to sign these contracts. It was downright eerie how much they defended these contracts, and how much some of them still to this day defend those contracts. James Alsop would come forward as well with his own experiences on his channel, and apparently he was told directly that he would not be able to hold a panel for identitarianism. Worse than that, at least if the rumors are true, it seems that the non-compete clause was written specifically to prevent Alsop or anyone else from filming anywhere else on the premises. You know how conventions will have many people filming their experiences, especially people with YouTube channels who show off the show floor, the hotel, sometimes meeting fans? Well, this is not allowed. Instead, you have to go to a designated area where you will be allowed to record, minimally, of course. You were discouraged from, say, holding an independent panel there or a long interview. With so many people going, or hopefully still going, there will likely be a time limit. Censorship, suppression, free speech. There began to be inconsistencies in the reasonings people were given in regards to their concerns. Some were told outright that they were being overdramatic when asking for their money back. This was, of course, after they had paid to see speakers who were now deplatformed at this free speech event. Deplatformed without any communication, mind you. If you are going to bill yourself as a free speech event, you should specifically go out of your way to host controversial speakers in order to back that up. Instead, they should have called this Skepticon, or perhaps described this as an anti-SJW convention. Andy Worski even pulled out of this event after he was told directly that he would not be allowed to hold a panel of his choosing, and should instead focus on social justice warriors as a topic. All of these recent decisions are a result of the woman organizing the event, a woman going under the name Based Mama.
Whoa, check out this based black guy with a Trump hat.
My IQ is extremely high. My IQ is extremely high.
I'm Pickle Rick!
My IQ is extremely high.
I turned myself into a pickle!
My IQ is extremely high.
Well, I'm a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
So far, the following speakers have dropped out or were disinvited after promoting the event: Tim Pool, Dave Cullen, Faith Goldie, James Alsop, Andrew Torba, Brittany Pettibone, Millennial Woes, Nick Monroe, Andy Worski, Peter Sweden, Sargon of Akkad, Baked Alaska, and Lauren Southern. As you might have noticed, the majority of the people I just listed were alt-right. There is a lot of speculation about Based Mama and her bias against those who hold alt-right ideas. Apparently, free speech does not refer to what you are allowed to say, but rather how much Kilroy is willing to pay you to promote their event and have you speak there. The first excuse we heard for deplatforming James Alsop was that they didn't have enough room for everyone, but this didn't line up with their actions. Kilroy is still announcing more and more speakers as I record this video, some that are definitely more friendly to the anti-social justice crowd. There are rumors that certain creators have been given free hotel rooms or airplane tickets, and some are claiming that Christina Hoff Sommers, who is now scheduled to speak, will be getting paid to go there, likely out of the money crowdfunded. To give you a little bit more context, there is a separate drama saga going on that is slightly related to Kilroy, and I'm referring of course to the Kraut and Tea drama. If you are interested in that Spurgfest, Jim is currently working on a multi-part series chronicalizing the drama, but to keep it simple, Based Mama was featured as one of Kraut's dedicated YouTube scientists on his Discord. And he created a Discord server that was dedicated to creating multiple forums about certain YouTubers and organize a way to debunk their videos. This eventually devolved into a server that obtained personal information and shared it amongst the active users. but it is unknown to what extent most users in the server were active. However, Kraut himself has said that he updated all of the users on a daily basis. So it's fairly likely that most of the users were not engaged directly in the doxing activities, but being a part of this server illustrates a clear bias against alt-righters. Another thing to note is that many of the speakers who dropped out had forums about them on Kraut's server. A lot of people found out about this, and it became apparent that this was not going to be the free speech event that everyone was expecting, where censored voices would be allowed to speak, but rather an anti-social justice jerkfest. The interest in debunking the insanity of social justice has dried up. No one wants to keep talking about it, and no one wants to keep hearing about it either. This is one of the many reasons that I think this event will fall flat, if it even falls at all. To be clear, I would like to see the success of a decent free speech event. However, I am way too suspicious about this event, and especially about this based mama character. When I was growing up, I was always told that you should not trust somebody with two first names, and I apply this logic to people who have the words red pill, based, or MAGA in their name. I can't help but be skeptical that this event was anything but a left-of-center anti-social justice jerkfest promoted by using the fan bases of the alt-right, fans who were left with meaningless tickets after the person that the fan wanted to see was disinvited or encouraged to drop out. This event was promoted by the notion of free speech, which is misleading considering that they are specifically limiting the diversity of their ideological makeup. To call an event like this a free speech event is disingenuous at best. There is, however, hope for this event. Kraut and Tea has mentioned his intention to attend Kilroy. On top of that, there are rumors of others coming that might not react kindly to Kraut if they saw him in person. There have been jokes about Coach Redpill and Jeff Holiday taking a role in the ball pit, so to speak, but my information to include was limited due to the fact that Jeff Holiday deleted all of his tweets following what happened on Kraut's servers. If these people cross paths, I imagine we might have a nice little event on our hands. And this is the way the Kilroy event ends, not with a bang, but with a ball pit.
Jump in the pit.